Hey folks, I'm back, and it seems I've arrived at the perfect time too. So, first of all, the thing that's been gnawing at me for the past 2 months of relative absence on YouTube is something I said in a certain Town Called Mercy review. I'm officially going for the 100% achievement and having all episodes of New Who reviewed by the end of 2022. Yeah, that ain't gonna happen. This is the last time I'm making any promises about content. Content will be ready when it's ready, and it will always be ready for those on Patreon first. Patreon is the best incentive for me to make content. I can turn down work in real life when fans like you support the content you love. If I see big numbers on Patreon, I spend less time worrying I'm not going to be able to pay the rent. Depending on how much you contribute, you get early access to content, audio tracks, video scripts, and if you're really generous, you can even request a video review or analysis like the last 2 commissions I produced. Look at the variety of shows and movies I've reviewed since my first request back in 2018.
The possibilities are endless.
Now, without further ado, let's get on with the review.
People's souls are being uploaded to the internet. It's like people get stuck. Their minds, their souls trapped in the Wi-Fi.
This is the fucking cringiest opening. I feel so sorry for this poor actor. Just a massive wad of exposition. You guys know how much I love it when they stick a camera to screen as well. Why does this guy, who's been imprisoned by the Wi-Fi, have access to wide bits of paper with black pens? Are people really going to pick this sketchy looking network in a made up language over guest network? I appreciate the sentiment, that of people just blindly connecting to whatever public Wi-Fi they can, so sure, why not make the Wi-Fi the monster of the episode?
They can see you. If they can see you, they might choose you. And if they do, you die.
It's those shots of those people like just dead that and the sound effects, they kill me. They do themselves one better by having all these people repeating the mantra of I don't know where I am. I don't know where I am. Like, is that meant to be scary?
This is real and I know that. Because I don't know where I am.
They had to have another cut just so that he could change his like emotion. Oh, absolute comedy gold. We then have this massive zoom out to show just how many people have been caught in this trap. This might not have been too bad of a reveal had they maybe changed the locations of those who actually died. I don't know where I am. You don't know where you are? Just look behind you. It's only the Golden Gate Bridge, for fuck's sake. Only the guy on the train looks like he's been actually transported anywhere, and the main dude looks like he's stuck at home or at work. Why would you be connecting to anything other than your own router? And it's not like the episode develops any of these people to answer a question like this. He could have been sick and tired of how slow his internet was. Maybe he never got a decent signal, something like that. But no, at least somebody's having a great time not knowing where they are. The Series 7B title sequence is pretty sick. I love the colors, the lightning flash of Smith's face. The only thing that is a bit eyebrow raising is how the TARDIS doors open into the episode. It's kinda clunky, and I'm glad it didn't survive into the Capaldi era. We're then thrown into a scenario of the Doctor moping around in 1207 looking for the mysterious Clara. Apparently the bells of St. John are ringing, which is in reference to the TARDIS phone ringing, which I thought was rather intuitive. How exactly Clara managed to get hold of the Doctor's number from an internet helpline throws a bit of mystery into the mix. This 21st century edition of Clara is introduced as being some kind of babysitter for this family with an absent mother. The daughter character named Angie is connected to the Wi-Fi, but Clara can't seem to do the same. Oh no! Admittedly, Clara opts for the smarter decision of actually calling a helpline instead of just connecting to any old random Wi-Fi. Hilariously, her conversation and behaviour reminded me of my dear mother when it comes to sorting out her technology. I feel a sort of sympathy for the Doctor as he reluctantly describes to Clara how to connect to a Wi-Fi network. I do like their exchange right until it just stops dead in its tracks so that Clara can click on the big bad Wi-Fi.
Click on the Wi-Fi.
You'll see a list of names to see one you recognise.
It's asking me for a password. Now you made me type it wrong. It's throwing me out again. What do I do? How do I get back in?
Click on the Wi-Fi.
You'll see a list of names to see one you recognise, see one you recognise, see one you recognise, see one you recognise.
Setting up a newish companion as somebody that can neither connect to a Wi-Fi network or follow simple instructions certainly doesn't kick things off with confidence. Now, I mention my dear mother because this is the role Clara has essentially adopted in this household. She's a friend of the family who was due to travel around the world, only to be grounded by grief when the mother of the family died. If Clara was, say, 10, 15 years older and was the actual mother of this family, that might have made her a more unique and interesting companion. Say she finds herself pulled into a few Doctor Who adventures that her husband may or may not want to know about. This would lead to the kids and the father being developed as characters over a series, instead of just showing up practically as cameos for later on and then never showing up again in Capaldi's era. Hell, I would have taken Clara from The Snowman. Anything other than another young, hot, 21st century gal swooning over the Doctor.
What is that box anyway? Why have you got a box?
Clara.
Is it like a snogging booth?
A what?
Is that what you do? You bring a booth? There's such a thing as too keen.
It is not a snog
I'll
box.
be the judge of that.
The Doctor then shows up on Clara's doorstep and starts acting rather strange.
The Doctor? No? The Doctor?
Doctor Who?
I'm Dr. Stephen Strange.
Could you just ask me that question again?
Doctor Who?
God, this joke got so old so quickly after Series 6. Instead of being persuasive in any way, the Doctor acts like a thirsty virgin who's never been on a date in his life. The dialogue between the two is witty, and it makes sense she would keep a front door between the two. This led to a genuinely creepy moment with a character from Amy's book coming to life who's actually an abducting robot called a Spoonhead. Sadly, this moment is ruined by the editors choosing to cut to silliness with the Doctor looking for some clothes. We then see the Doctor doing this stupid hacking thing with on-screen gobbledygook text, as though he's been a hacking expert the whole time. The Doctor previously hacked into a Patrick Moore video conference in the 11th hour, but apart from that, I struggle to grasp the idea that he can hack so successfully like this on a whim. Had this incarnation hacked more frequently in the show, in this kind of 21st century capacity, this Clara upload prevention scheme might not have been so bad.
Can you stop this?
No.
It baffled me as well that this lady in charge of the kidnapping named Miss Kislet doesn't just increase the IQ of this bloke that's trying to fight back against the Doctor. She only does this after they lose hold of Clara. By this point in the episode, we've already been introduced to this evil corporation called... Wait. It literally doesn't have a name, does it? Moffat does the character writing for Clara here by merely telling us what kind of character she is.
Very clever, but no computer skills.
I mean, we got the latter part from what we saw earlier, and the clever part has yet to actually be established. I presume this scene with the Doctor putting Clara to bed is an attempt to soften the blow of her waking up with a strange man in her bedroom. But like, going through her possessions, leaving a half-eaten jammy Dodger on her plate, and this shit? What the fuck are you doing, man? Plus, the music in this scene. Ugh. Clara's theme is another one of these overplayed, boring pieces that don't really support the character, instead forcing the audience to feel a certain way. The Doctor's not being creepy, he's being, whimsical. Let me put it to you another way. Imagine for a moment, you're trying to sort out the Wi-Fi on your laptop. You call the company and find a strangely dressed man shows up on your doorstep. Then, you see a child on the stairs, with you waking up several hours later in your bedroom with both the ability to understand computers and a realization that somebody has been in your room leaving their saliva all over the damn place. That same man in the weird outfit, yeah, he's just setting up shop right beneath your window, messing around with a child-sized metal skeleton. I would be a bit freaked. The last thing I would do would be to make him a cup of tea. Now, before you get your knickers in a twist, yes, I have seen the prequel to this episode, and it is ghastly.
Mister! I hope you find her again.
I truly do not know why it exists, aside from reinforcing this idea that companions just coincidentally bump into the Doctor whenever the writers fancy it. He's seen sitting on a swing in a playground and meets one of the worst child actors I've ever seen.
My mum says I shouldn't talk to strange men.
Ah, your mum's right.
Are you strange?
I'm Dr. Stephen Strange.
The dialogue is sticky and unnatural, as though child Clara is the master of reading emotions.
Are you lonely?
Why would I be lonely?
Because she's sad.
Ironically, Clara possesses character traits in this prequel. She's prone to losing things and doesn't believe in destiny.
Clara Oswald, what have I told you about talking to strange men?
Even the idea that she's allured by strange men, you might think that would have an effect on her as an adult. Weirdly, it does justify how nonchalant she is towards the Doctor, but I would be far more interested to learn how this affects her relationship with the father of the house, who doesn't even have 30 seconds of screen time and never appears in the show again. Clara wakes up confused and decides the first thing to do is check the front porch. The Doctor reels off everything that happened whilst Clara was asleep from a notepad that clearly never had anything written on it to begin with. He then urges her to get inside the TARDIS because some weirdo across the road just happens to be there. It would seem a little unrelated to the matter at hand, but there's a buzzing sound effect playing that is clearly placed here for the audience, not the characters. The Wi-Fi is now controlling people to, get this, turn their lights on to show where pilots, who are also controlled by the Wi-Fi, are meant to crash a plane. Right. This segment may be flashy, but it honestly doesn't add up with everything that has been established previously. I thought that the trap required people to connect to this sketchy Wi-Fi. Did all these people on the plane need Wi-Fi so badly that they all connected to the sketchy one?
Are they all dead?
Asleep! Switched off by the Wi-Fi!
So which is it? That all the passengers on this flight and an entire neighborhood connected to the same Wi-Fi? Or is it that this company just suddenly has control over all Wi-Fi now, and by extension, all human beings? It's probably the latter, isn't it?
Never mind!
Worst of all, I'm meant to believe this elaborate plan was made possible because one man at a desk had his IQ increased. What the actual fuck? By this point, though, I started to have this creeping feeling that the episode felt more like a tourist brochure for London than a decent episode of Who.
I do love London.
The Doctor lands the TARDIS on London's South Bank, which, by some miracle, doesn't swallow up several tourists seeking selfies. The girl with pink sleeves puts money into the hat twice in separate shots and then vanishes in the next one with the Doctor riding on his motorbike. The continuity issues don't stop there, though, as we see the TARDIS doors being open long enough for people to have a peek inside before we cut and the doors are miraculously closed. The obvious solution here would have been for the Doctor to simply snap his fingers. I wonder who came up with that idea. Is it the same writer as this episode? Of course it is.
Why are we on a motorbike?
I don't take the TARDIS into battle!
Hey look, there's a camera in the reflection. So the pair time travel to the next morning in order to tire out the staff at the Wi-Fi controlling organisation. Oddly, the Doctor made this massive assumption that these people would be working through the night, which he based on nothing at all. It obviously isn't true either, given that the three members of staff that the story follows look just as they did the night before. No empty coffee cups, tired eyes, or anything that might actually fuel some comedy, perhaps? Except this, of course.
What's happening?
Blue Box, South Bank. Definitely wasn't there 5 minutes ago.
Are we sure this time? Earl's Court was an embarrassment.
Which is funny because they actually have a TARDIS outside Earl's Court Station. As much as this breakfast scene could have explored more of Clara's character, I appreciated the restraint displayed.
You don't have a plan?
Oh, you know what I always say about plans?
What?
I don't have one.
People always have plans.
How long have you been looking after those kids?
About a year, since their mum died.
Okay, why you? Family friend, I get that, but there must have been others. Why did it have to be you? I mean, you don't really seem like a nanny.
Aha, now we're getting to the meat of the matter.
Gimme.
Oh, you tease, Moffat. It's good that she dodges these questions because it might indicate she's not proud of what she's done. Unfortunately, we return to the characters being able to perform everything and anything tech-related within minutes. I don't understand why the organization gave Clara superhuman hacking abilities because it truly undermines everything they are doing.
Splice her a computer skills package.
It didn't look like they were planning on having her employed like the rest of these wankers. Wasn't she just going to be a part of the wall of faces?
Who's on Facebook? Bebo, MySpace, Habbo.
Oh, what a flashback. My childhood in a nutshell right there, holy shit. Turns out that the company is operating from the Shard, London's tallest building. Once again, it seems like they only chose this because it's a massive tourist attraction that just happened to open that year. Having said that, I imagine people who do work at the Shard probably do boast about this in their Twitter bios. This moment of Clara figuring out where they all were was kinda hilarious.
I did it, I found them.
You found them?
The Shard. They're in the Shard, floor 65.
Floor 65.
But how do you deduce floor 65 from seeing a bunch of people on social media who work at the Shard? So the opportunities to stop the Doctor whilst he's motorcycling his way to the Shard are endless. I'm kind of picturing Matrix-style controlled bus drivers ready to ram into him into the river at any point. But of course, not only does that not make any sense, but that famous B word stops the whole process of a potentially creative action sequence from taking place.
We could stop him, I suppose.
Why bother? Might be quite funny.
It might be quite funny? I haven't seen you laugh at a single thing this whole episode, love. The most that Miss Kislet can do to foil the Doctor's plans is taking control of this random fish and chip eater.
Really, Doctor? A motorbike? It hardly seems like you.
I rode this in the Anti-Grav Olympics 2074.
The Doctor's not even fazed by the fact somebody knows him. Seriously. What was the point in the writers deleting his name and reputation from the universe? All just so characters can name the show in dialogue from time to time?
Doctor Who, Doctor Who, Doctor Who.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I love hearing it. God, it makes me really hard. The Doctor and Miss Kislet wind up having a waffly chat about releasing Clara, for if she were to release one person, then everyone else goes too. Turns out the Doctor was able to turn the tides again, though, because he somehow hacked into that robot version of himself seen earlier. Just walk out of your office, you moron. The funniest thing is, for a tech company that has the ability to hack Wi-Fi, people, and adjust their brain activity, surely they'd think to put passwords on their tablet lock screens. The cherry on the cake is that this employee has the ability to shut down the entire operation just by tapping his keyboard a few times. Back at the rooftop cafe, the Doctor sneaks off just as Clara is waking up from her little nap. Just when things couldn't get sillier, Richard E. Grant shows himself to be the genius behind this little operation. I guess we'll just have to see if he's a recurring villain in this series. Oh wait, no, he just turns up in the finale in 7 episodes' time. God, he looks awful. All it took apparently was the great intelligence whispering into Miss Kislet's ear since childhood to get a tech company set up in London's tallest building. It's just that easy for the great intelligence. This is precisely the sort of thing I would expect the Doctor to be concerned or at least curious about. He doesn't ask or figure out how Clara got hold of the TARDIS phone number. Guess it was destiny, or we'll find out later in the series.
You know, like destiny, sort of.
That's rubbish.
More importantly, though, the Doctor doesn't seem to care about how a 21st century tech company has futuristic technology that allows for control over Wi-Fi and, by extension, people. You would at least think the Doctor would want to know how and why this whole thing took place, but he doesn't ask Miss Kislet whatsoever. In the final scene, the TARDIS is parked right in front of Clara's window. Hilariously, none of the family seem to be paying any attention to this, squabbling over their iPhone and drinking coffee. By the end of the episode, many questions were still knocking about in my brain, like, was Clara primarily friends with the dead mother over the father? Why couldn't she even say the mother's name? Did the mother die suddenly, tragically, or was it expected? Was she secretly intent on getting romantically involved with the father? What must it look like to Clara's and the father's extended family from the outside, knowing that her mother died and this other woman moved in. The interpersonal relationships are just not fleshed out enough yet, and I'm hoping that future episodes give this character more history with this home she was occupying during this episode. So, did it suck? What a wank episode to get Clara on board. Strangely, one of the biggest problems with the episode I find is the Doctor himself. Why is he so damn creepy with his concerns lying all over the damn place? I can't stand him in this episode. There is potential here, there are a few funny moments, but I think this might be the weakest Kickstarter episode for any companion in the show's revival. All the touristy bullshit, the hacking shenanigans, it's just a goddamn mess. I give The Bells of St. John a 3 out of 10. Worst of all, I'm meant to believe this elaborate plan was made possible by Skillshare. Just kidding. I haven't been sponsored by them in ages. Wasn't she just going to be a part of the Wall of the Faces? The Wall of the Faces. It's like something out of Game of Thrones. He doesn't ask Miss Kislet.